had and has a lot of financial debt that Queen Elizabeth II purposefully hid from her family while she was alive? If so, what was the cause or causes? Um, Huge debt? I wouldn't say so. It's like yes and no. Yes, insofar as if we count the individual the individual wealth that they have declared to the public. But no, in the sense that also the wealth that they haven't declared, but that is sort of unspoken, is that the public's money belongs to them, right? They have their face on it. So, and with that, they can never owe. I mean, how can the how can the queen be indebted to the Bank of England if the Bank of England belongs to her or the family, right? Or like I was saying earlier on, the links with them, the sibling relations, cousins, and all of that. Like if the Bank of England is run by the queen's cousin, then can she really, how can she really be indebted to him, right? Or her. um During the infamous Windsor walkabout that William, Catherine, and Harry and Meghan did after Queen Elizabeth II died, there was a moment caught on camera where Catherine gave Meghan a very cold death stare, and Meghan turned quickly away from Catherine, almost like Meghan was scared of Catherine. Has Catherine had an opportunity to verbally express her anger? Mm, has Catherine had an opportunity to verbally express her anger directly towards Meghan in private? Is Meghan afraid of Catherine? Now she is. Now she has been. Yeah. It wasn't like that before. Not when I was doing readings before. I didn't see that because things hadn't changed as of yet. But Catherine has become a lot more intentional, a lot more. Yeah. And it's not a mistake because even the fans, I mentioned it, before. The fans had been threatening and have been threatening people, the Cambridge fans, I mean. So it's not a light thing because Meghan is less prepared in the spiritual realm than Catherine is and her fans. So yeah, of course, she's sort of like been after after her confidence, I might see it as well in her copying her, uh, Catherine copying Meghan. Yeah, yeah. Clothing, especially shoes, especially because shoes are very significant in the spiritual realm in terms of like shoes are what get you from one point to another, right? But spiritually the shoes mean it's like someone's crown, actually, in essence. So um she's been copying her shoes as well. She did it twice, I think. And what I read was like before the coronation, which is a very significant event. So obviously there's going to be a lot of press. She chose to wear shoes that are heavily associated with Meghan Markle. That was a spit on her, on Meghan Markle's image that Catherine did, and it was on purpose. So yeah, she's definitely verbally expressed that anger. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, is Megan very deeply envious and jealous of Catherine, like many people? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They both hate each other or despise. Yeah, yeah. There were reports that some of the people who were in the crowd during the Windsor walkabout said that Megan smelled very strongly of alcohol. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And in the TV footage of the walkabout, Megan looked nervous and unsteady on her feet. Was she drunk and or high during the walkabout? Was she terrified to face the British people after she had bashed them so much? No, 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 not at all. British people are not even on her radar. Not at all. It's actually the American people that she would be afraid of offending. Yeah, yeah. She would so be afraid of offending the American people. So like this card is, like American people are much more in the open with wealth compared to the British people. So she wants to play according to their tune. Yeah. Or she wants them to be in sync, in tune, in sync with each other. She and the American public. Yeah. But the alcohol is definitely, yeah, yeah, the alcohol. So like this card, she was dripping with it. She was dripping with it. But in order to not feel out of her environment, she did that like a crutch. Yeah. Who was the royal family member that Meghan and Harry refused to reveal during the Oprah interview? Who they accused had been concerned about what color Archie's skin would be at birth? Or was that accusation another? No, no, it wasn't a lie. But then it wasn't in the same context that they were sort of pretending it was. Yeah, yeah. Catherine. Catherine. Yeah. But Catherine through William. Yeah. Catherine through William. Yeah. Almost like Catherine and I have talked about this, and this is what we think. And then besides, how do you know what the color of this what the color skin of the child would be? Something like that. But it wasn't meant to be racist, you know. And again, like, I'm far from being a Cambridge fan, you know, as of this point, but it wasn't meant to be racist. It's more like, so again, yeah, this signifying Catherine. So yeah, the female and then the money. So showing her rank, and then the ring signifying like who she's married to. So it's like it was her words, but it was spoken by the person who was around her, William. And the reason being, one of them was a form of control. In fact, and the public really bought into it. I'm not talking about buying into feeling sorry for Harry and Meghan. No, I'm talking about they bought into the narrative of that conversation. Like, there are some things that are good to ignore. Not ignoring in the spiritual, actually quite the opposite. Okay, even if you want to be loud about the topic in the physical, make sure you've done twice the amount of work, double the work in the spiritual. Like, be louder than that in the spiritual. Yeah, doubly loud. But they were not. It was the reverse. So what I'm trying to say is that that was, it's like hook, line, and sinker, right? Um, William did not expect it to get into the public for them to reveal it. So that's something he didn't expect. But when eventually it was revealed, he wasted no time, him and Catherine wasted no time in using it for their benefit. So if you notice, shortly after that, and even the period after that, there was a lot of, and you know, one thing is that I was saying earlier on, people tend to underestimate, like when you don't know the power of your opponent, you would underestimate them. So which means, because members of the public, and let me say even Sussex fans, underestimate underestimated the royal family or the Cambridges, the kind of thoughts they would only need to criticize them. Like, how to explain this? They would only, like, so for example, they would only need to criticize them and then let it go. But no, because simply because now the royal William and Catherine, they used it. So using it, like, this card sort of represents the witchcraft, right? Of like doing it in the spiritual realm, using it in the spiritual realm. They used it in order to paint the image in a much better light. And it worked. So for the Sussex fans who think it didn't, it actually did, regardless of the little criticism that they did of the Cambridges, but it did work because the criticism wasn't good enough, it wasn't long enough, it wasn't sustainable enough. Like, what the Cambridges did, the witchcraft that they did using this subject, this topic, it was like the witchcraft was a level, let me say a level 100. The Sussex fans or other members of the public should have, let's say, counteracted it, right? If they wanted to criticize, counteracted it with a level 100 as well, rather than like a level 50, like a half-hearted attempt to be outraged, but not really seeing that it is perverse and even psychotic to do that. That you're not going to reveal who said such a comment. Okay, even if it's a lie, speak out and say that it is a lie. But you won't do either or. You're in the middle on the fence. But what you will do, so you're going to be inactive in being clear about where you stand about that comment, but you will be clear about using that topic, that energy, the energy of race relations, right? So like colors mixing together, coming together, which is what they did a lot, a lot, a lot. There was a lot of PR of Black Lives Matter, minorities, sort of imagery surrounding the royal family. at a certain time after that. So it's like an insult. It's like spitting on whatever the topic was about, and obviously, definitely the people involved, whether it's people of minorities, not all minorities, because again, speaking of high level demons, there are some who are involved with the royals, in league with the royals. So it's not even so much about skin tone on its own, really. It's more about, what type of people are being used. It could be eye color, it could be hair color tomorrow, it doesn't matter. But they use these things, these themes, these paradigms, to paint themselves a picture, a better picture. Yeah. um After the Oprah interview with Harry and Meghan, it was reported. Okay, so sorry. Someone might ask, oh, why, if he wasn't racist, why did that sort of comment come up? It was more like, because I don't see the racist angle here, at least not at the time. And even now, I just see opportunism, like opportunist, and relating to money. The royals don't really care about race. They don't. People want to pretend, because people underestimate the royals. Like, they want to pretend it's about race. It isn't. Money is at the root of it. um why did they, or Catherine and then William, it was in order to get them riled up, like to get them to think. Yeah. And Harry, especially, to get Harry to think. Yeah. It could have been something else. Like, what I'm trying to say is, they would know what would get him, what would get his head on fire. They would know what would get his head on fire. If Harry was sensitive about his weight, like growing up, he was sensitive about his weight, and that's the narrative. That, because if you notice, the narrative around Harry, at least in the negative side, it was always about race, Nazism, wearing Nazi uniforms and stuff. So, like, for someone whose life relies on image, right? Image construction, PR, whatever constitutes the negative image of them is what they don't want to hold on to, right? And it's something that was always gonna, sort of like, it's like a trigger. Yeah. So for him, it had always, if it had been weight, then William or Catherine would have used a comment about weight. Yeah. Or hair color even. But no, it's always been about race or ethnicity. So they used that to set him off. Why did they use it to set him off? Well, to play games with him. But when I say play games, it's not just for the purpose of playing games to get some sick pleasure. No, whenever the royals do this, it's actually totally normal. I'm just using the phrase play games because I'm talking with you sort of like this, in this frame. But within their own lifestyles, they're always playing games with each other. Always playing games with each other. It's a form of control. Yeah, a form of control. It's like, I mean, I used to read about, the queen during the Christmas. It's like the queen demanding for all the family members to be present on Christmas Day. Like, you can do anything you want before Christmas, but make sure that on Christmas Day you're there. It's a form of bringing them down to earth, like always sort of doing something to bring them. So that was the case as well, for them with regards to Harry, never letting him stray outside of the, don't think you're better than us, come back to earth. So it's like trying to keep someone in pain, give them some measure of pain so that they will not think they are invincible. Yeah. So they always keep, and it's not just for Harry. William has it. That's partly why they've allowed the rumors about Rose to continue in social media. It's like, we always have to remember to maintain that facade of humility. So let's allow something to pain us, or something to always be a sort of threat, but a threat we can control threats to our image, so that we don't steer out too far of the paradigms that we know. Um, Okay, after the Oprah interview with Harry and Meghan, it was reported that Meghan and Harry told 17 provable lies during the interview. Is that true? It's not lies if the royals were willing to co-sign with it. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what I've always seen. Up until now, though, now the energy has shifted because, again, it's gone on for so long and too long that the gaslighting has not worked on people like myself, and others. So they can no longer keep weaving that energy, that paradigm. So the paradigm is slowly breaking, which therefore means so will the unity. The unity is also going to break. So the arguments that you've been seeing in the media is actually going to become a reality as opposed to theater. Yeah. So is it really lies if the royals co-signed to it? No, I would say no. And again, I'm really saying co-signing, regardless of what they were putting out in the media, the newspapers, that oh, we disagree and stuff like that. Like that was just games. They've just been playing theater against or with the public. Gaslighting. You know, if someone is if there's gaslighting taking place, it is the person who is gaslighting who is in control, even if it appears that they're not in control. In fact, the more it appears they're not in control, the less people, those who are being gaslighted, the less those who are being gaslighted will see them in control. Will see those who are controlling it, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's like people might ask, why would, I mean, Harry has been suffering. He will never make himself suffer. He will never put himself through that. Well, that's just naive thinking. That's just naive thinking. A person can actually put themselves into trouble just to look like victims so that they will not be seen as the puppet behind, simply because there are greater things at play than what the public is seeing. Like people might think, why would he do that? Can't you see he's losing things? He's losing a lot. He's lost his family. He would never do that to himself. He would never put himself through that. But that's because they're not seeing the bigger picture. Yes, he would be willing to put him and his family through those things if it means he's going to come out on the other side looking like the victim, whilst there's a lot of things being exposed about public funds being misused or being used for the royals. Yeah. So just different things. So yeah, the royals do this a lot. The royals do this a lot. They would put out newspapers or maybe like through sources denying something, an accusation, but really they're enjoying the accusation because it means, whenever an accusation is thrown, it gives them the opportunity. There's an opening for them to send the foot soldiers to support them and therefore elicit some pity. It's like recruiting a new army. Like at some point, the army of demons that they have, or half human, half demons that they have, is no longer enough. So they need more, right? And the more can only be recruited. One of the ways the more can be recruited is through generating pity or anger. Either way, generating something, a kind of feeling rather than apathy. When there's apathy, things can't move. But when there's anger or something fiery, whether it's pity, emotion, love, whatever, it's like striking a match. Anything can start from there. Yeah. And that's what they want. Okay, so does Oprah now deeply regret doing the interview, since so many people now have a much less respect for her because of the way that no and no. I mean, she's one of the foot soldiers, like the half demon, half. Yeah, she's unbothered. So like this card, right, with the makeup, she's so unbothered. But like applying her lipstick, she's unbothered. She's unbothered. By what the public thinks. Partly because the public has allowed itself to be played for too long and too much. So it's like whenever they try to look threatening, whenever the public tries to look threatening, Oprah and her likes, her ilk, remember that this public that is trying to look threatening has ignored the bunch of books, i.e., information that has come out about the royal family. So, therefore, whenever people that try to look threatening, she just remembers that, wait, they're trying to make me feel guilty for what they themselves are doing, ignoring the truth. So, they're telling me, like, I talk to, because this kind of looks like a wall, but it's also a bookshelf. So, they're saying, I know the truth. I'm staring the truth is staring me in the face, but I'm pretending that it's a wall. So I'm being stubborn. I'm looking at it as if it's a wall. Like, I'm sort of putting my head to the wall, right? So that's like a synonym for stubbornness. Yeah, I am. But I'm just reflecting what you people are doing. And I'm even better because look, you're being played. I'm not being played. At least I'm ignoring it on purpose because I don't want to know. Because I already do know that they're evil, I'm into all this stuff. But check it out. You also are a dragon or a demon. You just don't know it yet because you're not looking at yourself. You're looking at all these books as well, like the bookshelf, but you're also pretending it's a wall. Because you're pretending that you want to know the information, but that you don't really have access to it. But if you were to stop pretending and look down, you would see that you don't even need to reach into the bookshelf. In other words, you don't need to wait for a sensational interview from the royals to deny or debunk whatever Meghan Markle and Harry said in my interview. No, you just need to look down at these books. And these books, what I'm sensing, it like signifies the articles, like the sources coming from the palace sources, right? And then put two and two together, see who is lying, who is not, and then come to the conclusion that maybe, just maybe, you're all being played. In other words, they're working together. Like she's saying, the conclusion doesn't have to be that, oh, this is Meghan Markle, she is evil, this is Harry, he's just as evil as her, um, and all of that. No, they are all, the background is darkness. So whether one looks darker than the other, that looks pink and bright and flowery and innocent, it's no, they are all tied to each other. Like one is on top of the, even like one looks like it's on top of the other, but does it really matter? Because in as much as you can see, in as much as this one right here looks like it's on top of the other. So this is Harry and Meghan right here, who look dark, they are not as big. It is not as big. What it lacks in size, it makes up for in, I guess, power of strength, like lying down on top of these ones here. So these ones here who claim that the victims through their inaction and not speaking, they just allow the fans to defend them. They are bigger. They are bigger. In other words, they are a bigger support for these ones here than I could ever be. Yeah, they're a bigger support. Yeah. And what's more, these ones are black, like in the dark, right? But then these ones also are like, so this would be the queen, right? And then this is like the Cambridges. So these ones here, they are lying down on a dark background. So if anything, they're closer to these people here than any members of the public. Yeah, who claim to be light. So if the members of the public claim to be light, a light color, then the royals would not be in the same frame. Talk less of even touching what is dark. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I'm seeing a lot of manipulation, even by the queen. I mean, the stuff that the queen has left behind. There's a lot to come. There's a lot to come. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna stop here again and then continue the next video. Sorry that the videos aren't long enough, but I don't want it to cut off because it keeps sort of giving me issues.